fun painting with you. We've got the Highland cow with the little baby. It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to painting it. So we're going to start working on the Highland cows, the mom and the baby, and I just wanted to show you my palette, how I set it up. We're going to begin with the aqua color and the white, and then we've got a light tan color, a pink, we've got black, 3 different colors of brown. I've got a dark brown, burnt sienna, and it's a honey brown color. They're all, by the way, Deco Art. So that's the paint I like. They're only like 99 cents at Hobby Lobby. They're really nice paint for these projects, okay? They're not professional grade, so if you're doing professional paintings that you're gonna sell for thousands of dollars, I wouldn't recommend those, but for yourself or paint parties, they're really good. Okay, so we are going to start with the background, and it's going to be an aqua blue with a mixture of white. I like to use this brush. It's a little square brush that I get at Amazon. I'm going to wet the brush to wake it up, but then I'm going to dry it off with paper towels. Make sure you have a lot of paper towels around. And we are just going to start painting the background. I start at the top left because I'm right-handed. If you are left-handed, you might want to start painting on that side of the canvas. Okay, I love this color. I tend to use it a lot, and it's been hard to find lately. It's called Sea Breeze, and I absolutely adore it. And what I like about this brush, do you see how I could get that straight line? And you could use a round brush to paint the background, but I just love this brush. I find I get a lot more control to get that line in there. And I don't want to have the pencil line showing on the horn, so I'm covering it pretty much with the Sea Breeze color. Okay, we're just gonna, I have white and blue on my brush because I like to mix colors rather than just use one. And I also tend to like to mix them on the canvas, not on the palette, which is my paper plate at this time. So it's just something I like to do. I like to have a little variation of color on my canvas. If you like just one flat color, choose the Sea Breeze color by itself, or whatever aqua color you have. Okay, and I'm just going to fill this in. And let's go here and get all this top part done. These cows are so cute. Now what I did was, I have other videos that show you how I've transferred the tracer onto the canvas, but if you need to know that, it's just a matter of printing out the tracer with your regular printer, black and white printer, and then you put a piece of graphite paper down, and you can make graphite paper with piece of white paper and just run your pencil along it till it gets full of lead, or graphite is what it is from a lead pencil. And then you set that down on the canvas with the graphite paper against the canvas. You put your tracer on top and just trace. I just find it saves a lot of time. Now, if I was into drawing, I wouldn't bother doing that. I would just look at a picture and say, okay, I'm going to draw it onto the canvas. But I would much rather just spend time painting. And I've taken many watercolor workshops, and people say, isn't that cheating if you trace your picture onto the watercolor paper or canvas instead of drawing it by hand? And I've had some top instructors in watercolor, and they go, no, that's not cheating. As long as it's your picture that you're using, you know, that you took a picture of a flower or whatever, and then you print it out and trace it. They said that's not cheating, it's just saving time. So there's two trains of thoughts with that, but with these paintings, I just trace them. Well, it's much easier than figuring out how to draw them. But a lot of people like to draw, so whatever you want. You know, one thing about art, it's what you want and what makes you feel good. You're just doing it for you, no one else. So have fun with it, enjoy. Okay, so good thing about acrylic paint, they are water-based, so they dry very quickly, which is nice. So that's the background for the cat. Next we're going to work on the baby Highland cow's face, and I'm going to use this light color for the baby. The mom's going to have a darker color on her face, but the little baby's going to have that light tan color. Actually, the Deco Art paint that I use is called Sugar Peach. And we're just going to use a smaller round brush. It's a number 8 brush, and once again this brush is from either Amazon or Hobby Lobby. I don't buy very expensive brushes for these paints. My watercolor paint brushes tend to be a little higher in price, but you could actually use these brushes for watercolor as well. I will be showing you some watercolor paintings in the future. I've been painting with watercolor for about 25 years and I love it, but I like doing these paintings also. So here we go, we're just trying to get the little face covered up. I'm going to leave the nose alone because that's going to be pink. Okay, we're almost done here. Let's just go around the eye carefully. Now at any point you can hit pause if I'm moving too quickly and catch up, okay? Just hit pause and catch up to where I'm at. I'm trying to paint a little quickly so that you don't have a 3-hour video you have to watch. All right, now I'm going to paint the mommy's face, and it's going to be that butterscotch color, or otherwise known as honey brown, Deco Art honey brown. And we're going to paint around the eye. I'm still using the smaller brush. You could use a bigger one if you'd like. I'm just going to paint this in. It's her little face. Highland cows are just the sweetest. They are so cute. There's someone well, quite a few people near Eagle, Idaho that have them. And they put their videos of these cows on Instagram, and they're just darling. They love to be brushed. They're almost like dogs or kitty cats. They're so sweet. Okay, so we've got her little face like this. Now if you notice, I'm holding my brush down here. It just gives me a lot more control over the brush. Whereas when I'm going to be painting big strips for the hair, I will hold the brush farther back. So you either want a lot of control or not very much. And the more control you want, the closer you hold to the point of the brush. And I usually hold it kind of like a pencil. But you'll find your way that's comfortable for you. There are many different ways of holding a paintbrush. Okay, we're coming along here. And we're going to go around the little nose area because that is going to be pink. Okay. And we've got the little area here. And I do Highland cows for my paint parties often because people love to paint them. We did one at Christmas time. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna work on the horns. There's one here and one here. The baby doesn't have horns yet. So the horns are white, and we will be adding a little bit of tan on the bottom part of the horn to make it look round. But I'm gonna add white first, and I'm starting near the top because by the time I get to the bottom, I want the white paint to still be wet so I can blend it. Okay, so I'm just doing white. And you probably don't see it all that well because it's the same color as the canvas, but it is going on. So what I want to do is make the horn look like it's got a little shadow at the bottom so it gives it a rounded look. So I'm going to add tiny bit of tan, and I can check on my palette to make sure it's not, whoops, I didn't need that, but that's okay. I'm going to do a little bit of tan with the white, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to blend it at the bottom. So it doesn't look like a line, it just looks like a little shadow. Okay? There we go. And it gives it an illusion of being round. And I'm going to wipe off my brush, get a little more white on my brush, and try to blend it a little more. Okay. And then a little more tan at the very bottom with some white. And you can just play with that till you get it looking the way you want. And we're going to go on the other side and do the same thing. White on top. White. Now in between colors, if you want to let your paint dry a little more, my blue is not totally dry, so it pulled a little blue in here. But you can wait a few minutes, go make yourself a cup of tea, and then come back and work with the white. I'm just trying to save a little bit of time. And then I'm adding a little bit of tan to the brush to put down here once again, a little more to give it that illusion. And I don't want the line, so I'm going to wipe off my brush, put more white on the brush, and blend it. Okay, so it's blended. There. So you've just got a little bit of a rounding of that horn. Now here I have a little bit of blue showing, so I'll come back later and add some white to that. And it's always easiest to add color once the first coat is dry instead of trying to add white now. So our next step, we're going to work on the little nose, and I'm going to use the bigger brush. I just find it holds more of the paint on it, so it needs to wake up in the water. I'm always putting the brush in the water, taking it out, drying it. Never leave your paintbrushes sitting in the water because it ruins them. So I've got some pink, and it's a bubblegum pink color, and I'm going to work on the little baby nose first. I have a little too much paint there, so let's just go like this. And it's okay that I see the line that I'm going to be adding some black later, so it's all right that I see it. So pretty. I've kind of put my little baby finger down to steady my hand so it's sitting on the table. I just find it's kind of hard otherwise, especially if your hand shakes a little, to get that straight line. So that's why I've got my hand down. There, I've got the baby one. Now we're going to work on the mom's nose. And her nose is going to have a little bit of white with the pink, just to make it a little lighter. I have a mixture of white and pink on there, okay? See, the brush has white with pink, just for a little bit of variation. You don't have to do that, I just thought it'd be fun. I hope you're enjoying this video. I do have an Etsy store that I sell for really good prices. They're not very expensive. I usually have them on sale for about $1 or $2. And I've got hundreds of different tracers and reference photos for you to get ideas of what to paint. And also some of them have directions and supply lists. So feel free to look at my Etsy shop. I do have it listed down below. There's a link to it. And it just makes it easy when you can just get a painting to paint without trying to figure out what you're going to paint and take half an hour to figure that out. So what I've done is I've joined a company called Paint Parties Headquarters. And what's really nice is I get a lot of ideas for paintings from them. I do pay a monthly fee. And because I'm a member, I can sell the paintings on Etsy, but they're not for you to use for profit. If you want to have profitable paint parties where you're actually charging, then to use those paintings, you need to become a member. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of white here, just to lighten it up a little, and here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use really light pink, so I've got a lot of white with a little bit of pink, mostly white for the baby's ears, the inside of the ear. It's mostly white with just a touch of pink. So a lot lighter than the nose. There we go. And the other one. White. So see how it's much lighter than their nose. And I'm going to clean off that brush, dry it off, so it's ready for me to use next time. And now I'm using a very small brush, and we're going to be using black. And we're going to paint the eyes. And we can leave little spots white for highlights, or you can add them in later. I'm just going to leave them white now. This one. Okay, I covered that a little, so I can go back later and add a drop of white there when I'm doing highlights. I always add highlights at the end of a painting. Those are white highlights that I add later. Just add sparkle to paintings. Now let's do Mom's ear, Mom's eye. Do a little bit of black. We can outline this very carefully. Outline the little nose. What I'm doing is I'm barely touching the canvas, because if you press hard on the canvas, you're going to get a very thick line. I don't want a thick line. So once again, I'm trying to just have it glide But you gotta make sure you have enough paint on your brush as well. Okay, let's go in here. Take your time doing this. Like I said, just pause the video and work on the black. I'm trying to go a little faster. Okay, so there's that nose. And now this one. Let's do this. The brush is acting up a little, but that's okay. So when I say my brush is acting up, the point on it is not as pointy as I want it to be. So I'm just trying to be careful with what I'm doing. There we go. And I'm going to go here. It's like a teardrop almost. And I've got to try to outline it. What I'm going to do is clean off my brush and get that point back. And then I'm going to dip it in the black because it kind of gets full of paint otherwise. And I've got to try to outline this. It really helps sometimes to just re-clean off your brush and put the point back if you find it's not pointy enough for you. And we've got the black. There we go. Okay, now let's start working on the baby's hair. And hers is going to be a little different color than the mom's. We're going to use the darkest brown we have with white. So I'm going to start by using this bigger brush. I'm going to dip it in the darkest brown, but I'm going to pull it over and I'm going to add some white to that so we get a different color. It's not too dark, okay? And we're just gonna come in and we're gonna start putting some fur down here, or hair. I guess they have hair. When I'm painting hair and trees and such, I like to use the brush in the direction that it grows. Instead of going horizontally, I'm coming down vertically, as if I could see it growing. I'm going to go here. It's okay if a few strands are going over her eyes. It's okay. And then we've got here, down here, got flowers here. She's so cute. I'm using the point of the brush where the hair is at a point to make it look a little more pointed. And then here I'll just go like that. Okay. And we've got to do the ears. Like I said, make sure you pause and take your time painting this. I'm painting it a little fast just to show you step by step how to do it. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush and we're going to work on Mom's fur. And we're going to start with the burnt sienna. It's this brown color here. So what I'm going to do is just start blocking in color because I'm going to be adding strands of color later. So I pretty much just want to block out the background before we start putting all the different strands of hair in here. Okay, so this is called color blocking. And we're just working on the face right now. That looks like it's part of a leaf of a flower, but I'm going to cover part of it. Come around where the flower is. Just trying to get it so it covers the white. There's flowers here and leaves. It doesn't have to look perfect because we're going to be covering it with more strands of different colors. Okay, let's go here. Let's just get this covered. Do all this around the flowers carefully. See, I'm using the tip around the flowers, just the tip of the brush to catch that. And that's the fur. I don't know, hair. I call it fur, it's hair. I asked someone who had a Highland cow, is it fur or is it hair? And they said it's hair, so it's hair. I didn't grow up around Highland cows. This is new to me. But I love them. So I'm trying to get that point right there. I'm going to get another point here, another point here, and we'll get another point here, okay? And let's cover this up a little more. Come down. We came down a little far. It's okay. Unless this is your Highland cow that you own, you would never know it. That I went a little longer down there. Okay, so we've got that covered. Okay, so once again, the body of the baby is going to be a little different color. It's going to be the brown again, but a little bit darker than the face. So I'm just mixing a little more brown with the white. And we're just going to come along and cover this here. A little darker than the face. And the reason for that is the light will shine on the face more than on the body. So that's why I'm making that a little darker. It just adds a little dimension to your painting. And especially like under the chin, where there would be like a shadow, I'm going to make it a little darker. Where the face and the body meet, okay? And there we go. Then we're going to work on Mama's body real quick. And I'm actually going to use this brush to cover a lot more territory. Love this brush. So I'm going to be doing the body for the mom all with this brush. And I'm going to add a little bit of the dark brown in there, so it's a little darker. Let's see, let me come around this way. Her back and her body, and I want to make it a little darker. Once again, I'm going to go a little darker under here. I'm just kind of pushing the paint to the edge where I want it with this brush. Just carefully. I'm using that edge of the brush. And you can use the pointed brush for this part if you'd rather. I just wanted to get that color blocking is what it's called, where you put in a color underneath so that you don't just have a white canvas. Let's put some darker colors up here so we have like a shadow where the face and the body meet. Okay. All right. Okay, well that's dry and we're gonna work on the flowers. Let's start with the baby's flowers, and I've got this really pretty bright pink. It's called Carousel Pink, and we're gonna use that with a little of the lilac color. Okay, so pink, I've got my big brush, and I'm just gonna move it the way flower petals would look, just kind of round and around. Just the tip of the brush. And we're going to just move it around with the little flowers. And we've got one here, and then we're going to do flower, pink flower here. And then Mom has flowers too, so let's put some pink up here. This is a fun painting for Mother's Day too. Sometimes I do this for paint parties around Mother's Day. So if you notice the brush, I'm moving it the way the flower petals would look. I'm not going straight. I'm putting curves with this brush. And let's put another one, pink one up here. You can use any color you want for the flowers. It doesn't have to be pink. And we're doing the same with the flowers that we did with their faces. It's a kind of color blocking. We're just putting in the first coat for the flowers of paint, and we'll go over it with some more coats of paint after it dries. And I'm going to clean my brush off and get some lilac, which is the light purple. This is a lilac meadow. And I'm going to add lilac in here. Just curve it around. Curve it around. It's easier using a light color as the base and then coming in with a darker color. It's a little easier than the other way around. And we're going to be putting some lilac over here. And let's see. Lilac here on this flower, and then we'll be adding lilac on the little baby's flower. And the flower down here. Okay, let's come in now and let's work on the Highland cow again. I've got this brush here. You can use a smaller brush, but I like the point on the big one. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna start putting streaks of hair here. I'm gonna just start here and just come down with different colors. I'm starting with the darkest brown, and the hair grows from up there down. So that's the direction I'm going. We're just coming down with the dark. And you can use different brushes also. If you want to use some thick and then some thinner, do that. I'll try that in a minute. I just wanted to get this going. So I'm going up to where the flower is and then down. And we're coming around. And it's kind of going like this. Up and down, down. There's no rhyme nor reason as to where I'm putting these. I'm just kind of having fun with it. Okay. We're just going to put a bunch of different colored streaks and see what happens. I think you'll be happy. Okay, and then we got to put some down here too. For the body, it just goes from the top down. From the top down. All right, here we go. So there's one color. I'm going to put a little bit of streaks in the baby, not too much. I'm adding a little bit of white to that dark brown for the baby's fur. to fill it in a little. Let's put some streaks here. Let's see, I don't have enough paint on my brush. You gotta get some paint. Okay, let's just go here. Okay, I think the baby's okay. Right. I'm going to use the smaller brush for a while, and we're going to use some of the burnt sienna, which we used for the base color, and I'm going to come in and do more stripes with that color in the smaller brush. Okay, here we go. I like to make it kind of go out a little too. So it's a little messy at the end. And I'm filling in a little more of that base coat with the burnt sienna, if you notice. See, I'm holding my brush up a little farther, so I'm really streaking it. And the dark color is coming through, which is fine. The baby's in front. Okay, now let's go over here. Now you're going to say, oh my gosh, this painting does not look good. That always happens when you're halfway done or almost done. And then just keep going, because by the time you're finished, you'll love it. It's like right now I'm like, oh gosh, did I mess it up? Nope. Okay. Let's see, I've got to add it. I cleaned off the brush just to get the point back. I want to add some of the lighter color in here for the body. Add some dimension. While we're waiting for that to dry before we put a few more streaks, let's work on the leaves. And I've got the small brush again, and I'm just going to be painting these leaves green. Do you notice I'm holding my little finger down on the canvas so I have more control over the brush? So my hand's not out here shaking. Okay, green. I'm going to do this one. Okay, my brush has a little piece sticking out, so I'm going to pull that off. The brushes sometimes do that, where they start to lose some of their little bristles. And if you see that when you're painting, just stop and pull it off, okay? We're getting there, guys. This painting takes a while. There's a lot to it, but it's so cute. might have to make it part 1 and 2 if it's too long. Okay, and this one. All right, and then we've got some on the baby's flowers here, so let's put a little green here. One thing I always like to do is cover the white. Otherwise your paintings look like there's a halo if you leave white around the edges. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll go over the trace lines rather than have white showing. Now I've got one little one here. Right, there's those. Now we're going to come back and add more streaks. Lightest color is that honey brown, and I'm going to use a small brush, and I'm going to start adding more streaks. Come up to the flower and then come down. Get a lot of paint on your brush, up and down. Just anywhere you want. You can curve them. It's kind of like the messier the better. Okay. Put a little in here, not too much. I think it's looking cute, okay? I think that's pretty good. Let's add some white highlights. Let's see, before we do the highlights, we're gonna add some color to the flowers. Let's do a little of the light blue in here and just add some petals. Light blue and the lilac. And I'm gonna clean off my brush and put some dark purple in here, and I'm just putting little C's, just little half circles. Okay, little half circles, so you can see how the flowers petals go, the illusion of it. And purple, we're going to put some in the pink. Just put the dot and peg it around. Here. Dark purple in these little guys' flowers. And dark purple here. Clean off the brush. And we'll put some pink with the purple, make it look pretty. And I'm going to put put some more pink in here too. And a little pink in here. And let's put a little bit of blue in here. See how that looks. I like that. All right, so we're ready for highlights. Okay, highlights with white. And the small brush, we're gonna add some highlights to the flowers, just like you were doing. Just put some little dots of white in there. It just makes things sparkle, doesn't it? Look at the difference between that flower and that one, just because of the white highlights. It's amazing what white does. And white in here. And some white here. Okay, and then let's put some white highlights just in the top part of the Highland cow because the body is not getting the sun shining on it. So we're just going to add some highlights here. Okay, just little highlights. And it adds so much sparkle, doesn't it? I think the baby can have some highlights too. What do you think? Let's put a few highlights in here for the baby. And we'll put some highlights here, there, here. And we've got that dot a little bigger. This dot, that one, little second one, and that one, and that one. And I think we're done. I think you did a great job. It was fun. Enjoy.